Hey.
Natalie. What's up, everybody? I like to give people a couple minutes to get on. My name's Coach Mike. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. What's up, Deal Mary?
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good, good. Where are you located right now?
Breckenridge,
Ooh,
Colorado.
nice. Yeah. Tim, where are you at, my man?
I'm in Minneapolis.
Okay. Natalie, what about you?
I'm in Dallas.
Dallas, okay. And who do we got over here? We got Allison. Where are you at? Well, sorry. Goodness. Allison's in Chicago. I'm like, hey, Allison, tell me about yourself. She's kind of proctoring this whole thing. So we will not delay. This is being recorded, and we're going to be talking about the program tonight and any questions you guys have. So I want this to be interactive. Go ahead and stop me if you have any questions or you have anything that pops up. But we're going to kind of dig into this. So if you're not talking, if you could mute yourself, and that will help kind of me focus, because I got like ADD and I get really easily distracted. Okay. So I think it's important to kind of talk a little bit real quick about my background, where I'm coming from, kind of where I'll be writing the program. And you'll be asking me questions if you have any about the program. So I'll kind of be like the MC. If you guys got questions, I'm your guy. Okay. So hopefully everybody is set up in the app and everybody can see the program at least the first 3 weeks. And I kind of did that strategically. I want people to be able to see those first 3 weeks, not get super overwhelmed at where the program is going. I will talk about the direction of that program now and kind of how it looks, but I'll drop that next program probably late next week, so you guys can get a little bit of a teaser on that. Okay. So my background, actually originally from Michigan, graduated from Michigan State in 2005 with a degree in exercise science, played soccer for them for a couple of years, and followed a young lady to Chicago and started personal training at a large corporate gym for about 9 months, left that, and then started another personal training company with a couple of guys. Left that company and started Fast and Fit Coaching in 2010 it was. Okay. And that was a personal training online coaching business, and was working with a lot of runners and triathletes and doing personal training. Anyway, my history of run and triathlon kind of coming out of college was really going down the running route. Okay. I didn't really know much else but soccer, and the girl that I was dating was doing 5Ks. And of course, everybody goes 5Ks right up to the longest distance, which is marathon. And so I did that, got plantar fasciitis, and jumped into triathlon. Probably in 2007 or 8 was my first one, up in Door County, Wisconsin. And I'll never forget hitting the water up in Door County. It's super duper cold. And I came out of the water with a survival response, which is open mouth, gasping for air. And now we won't get that, not to scare anybody, in Chicago in August. The water should be pretty warm. And you get in the water prior to getting your face in it. That's, one of those hacks that we can talk about, is get your face in the water before you start going. But kind of fell in love with it, and went all the way up to Ironman in 2010, competed in Ironman Cozumel. Had an amazing experience. Wouldn't have traded it for anything. But I think the shorter distances suited me best. And so I took a good run at actually trying to go pro for a couple of years and the Olympic distance, and knew very quickly that I wasn't fast enough to swim with the pack to be able to get out and ride with them. I probably could have rode and run with them, but I wasn't fast enough to actually get out and ride in the ITU style drafting format. So, and so I ended up becoming a kind of a elite amateur. In 2011, I competed at nationals in Vermont, and competed at the World Championship in New Zealand, where I proposed to my now wife in New Zealand, and kind of took like a 10-year hiatus really from triathlon until last year, where I did a couple Shawnee Mission, Deal Mary. I did that, and I did the Kill Creek Triathlon and did quite well. Just did Olympic distance not too long ago, and I'll be going out and splashing and riding and running with you guys in Chicago. So And so the last 10 years, we had twin boys that are 7, which kept me pretty wrapped up in a pretty booming coaching business. So here I am working for Lifetime as a personal trainer and still doing a lot of online coaching, which is why they decided to choose me as this person to lead the program. And I'm super duper excited. When I started with Lifetime, that's what I told them that I wanted to do, was to kind of take these programs and to write high quality programs for individuals like you guys. And so this is a big passion project of mine, and something that years ago I discussed with my manager when coming to Lifetime that I wanted to do. So super fired up about this to be with you guys. So that's a little bit of my background. But like I said, during this call, if anybody wants to shoot me a question, and I'll answer it right away. So by the way, Natalie, what are you cooking, girl? What do you have going on in that kitchen? You gotta fill me in.
I have salmon and carrots and red peppers.
That's what I'm talking about. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Cool. So where the program starts, bounce back and forth between my questions here and the actual program. Day 2 was a nasal breathing run. And why I decided to just start with a nasal breathing run is that we haven't done any time trialing. And I think it's also a good, it kind of shakes people up. A lot of people haven't done a closed mouth nasal breathing run. And if you're doing a nasal breathing run, meaning you're not breathing at all in and out of your mouth, you're truly either in zone 1 or zone 2. Okay. And we can dig into the whole zones here in a little bit, but it puts a little bit of a governor, like a golf cart might be able to, or a car can go faster than what it does, but it is a governor, and it kind of holds you back a little bit. Okay. And so it ensures that you're in that correct zone. All right, so it's a nice little test for you guys. A lot of the biking that we're doing is zone 2. So if you think of the 80-20 rule, early on, we're trying to do a lot of base building. We're doing a lot of aerobic training. The lifting that we're doing is called GBC, which stands for German Body Composition, and it's a structural balance protocol. So traditional GBC, or German Body Composition protocols, are 40 seconds of time under tension. Okay. It's a lot of time under tension, and generally they are with a structural balance protocol, unilateral exercises, meaning split squats, walking lunges, dumbbell rows, dumbbell bench presses. The other things that we're going to be shifting towards is more barbell squats, deadlifts, dips, bench, pull-ups, okay? Bilateral exercises, okay? So by doing single leg or independent movements, it helps create balance between our right and left sides, okay? Split squats, back foot elevated split squats. I feel like Bubba Gump a little bit here by saying back elevated, single leg, you know what I mean? But it does help with balance as we progress forward, okay, in this four-phase program, okay? In the first week, we start out of the gates with time trials. And the time trials that I chose to do are the swim and the bike. And I chose to do the run time trial in the second week so we can get a good 5 or 6 runs under our belt, because I know we do have some beginners. And I ended up talking with somebody today about just they haven't been running, they haven't been biking, they haven't been swimming. So at least it gets them some reps running before we go out and run a very hard effort. So I don't feel that anybody should injure themselves if they did a swim time trial, okay, out of the gates in the first week. You should be pretty safe with that. Same thing with the bike. You can ride hard. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, it's going to be very taxing and mentally challenging. It should be. And when you're done, you should be kind of like falling over your bike and exhausted. Okay. You should not have any more to give. But the swim time trial, I think it's important to talk about like the beginner versus the advanced. Why I chose the 3 times 100 is that it gives you some paces to go by. So if someone can't complete a 300 meter or 300 yard effort, and if you're in a 300 yard pool, you don't have to swim more. Or if you're in a 300 meter pool, you don't have to swim less. Okay. So whatever you have is yards. 25 yards or 25 meters, you just use that for your time trials moving forward. Okay, you don't have to change things up. So it's either 3 times 100 meters, whatever you have access to, or 3 times 100 yards. So those beginners, people very new to swimming, should do that 3 times 100, and you should not go exceed 15 seconds from the first to the second to the third. So if on the first one you swim 2-minute flat, the second one should not be slower than 2:15. And oftentimes what happens is people will swim a 2-minute or a 1:55 or a 1:50, and then they'll swim like a 2:20. And what happened was that somebody went all out on their first one. They went too fast. Okay. And so this is not about what you can do for that first effort. It's about what you can do and sustain. So we're trying to find your T or your threshold pace. And so after you do these time trials on Saturday, I'm going to send out in the chat the chart that you guys should be working by. Okay. And the same thing with the FTP test. Sorry, the 3 times 300 is something that I've done in the past, something that I've come to love and dread. And, you know, I was thinking about this. We were doing the swim, bike, and run a couple weeks prior to the triathlon. And why I do this and why I like retime trialing is that it lets you know how well you've improved. Okay, that the training is actually working, because I'm guessing that most people are going to do this test in a pool, or they're going to do this time trial on a bike in a very controlled environment, hopefully inside. So if you're at Lifetime, you could do this on one of those spin bikes, because we want you to get your average watt on the bike. And if you're in the pool, you're going to be able to do it in a consistent bike. It's a very controlled environment. Okay, so then when you go back and you test, you can say, wow, I started out and I averaged a 202. And now I'm at a 148, I'm at a 150, I've improved X amount. And that's the same thing on the FTP test on the bike. It's a very controlled environment inside, climate-wise, and you come back and you just can see how you've improved, okay? Anybody have any questions so far? No? Cool. I'm looking through my notes. So the run. The run is in week 2. And one of the reasons that I chose the 20-minute time trial, thank you, Dear Mary. The 20-minute time trial instead of the 5K is that if I run a 20-minute and Dio Mary runs a 20-minute and Natalie runs a 20-minute and Tim and so on, it's the same energy system. Okay. And it's very similar to the FTP test. It gives me what we need. Okay. So you run that all out. And I believe this is very important. Write this down, take a note, is that your average for this 20-minute test is approximately your lactate threshold. So if you have a Garmin and you hit start and you hit stop, the average heart rate for the FTP test and the 20-minute time trial are going to be your lactate threshold heart rate numbers. Okay, repeat. And when we time trial on the bike and on the run, the average heart rate for these times and for these time trials is your lactate threshold, your zone 4, okay? And so we will have zones 2, we will have zones 3 and 4. This lactate threshold would be the start of low zone 4, okay? And it's the point at which you start, it's the point at which you start open mouth breathing. Okay, lactate threshold and ventilatory threshold have a direct correlation. Okay, they are pretty much very close to each other. Okay, so I ran with a friend over the weekend. I was at a bachelor party in Michigan and New Buffalo, and my buddy ended up putting on a bunch of weight. This is an old elementary school friend, and we decided to go out for a run, and we ended up going at about an 11:30 pace. And we had him do a nasal breathing run, and he could not hold it. So we had to slow down. So if you don't have a Garmin, if you don't have a fancy Apple Watch and all the gadgets, you can use your talk test. So let's go there, okay? We've got different zones. So I will say zone 1 through zone 5. That's pretty much how I communicate these zones. I often use easy. Easy equals zone 2. But zone 1 is recovery. I was having a conversation with someone today, and I told them that you should be able to have a conversation as if you got your earbuds in and you're talking to your mom on the phone, and mom should not know that you're on a phone call. Zone two, that person probably knows you or is going to figure out that you're on a phone call because you're only going to be able to say about one sentence. Zone three, and by the way, you can fully nasal breathe. Okay, it might be a little more rapid, but you can close your mouth and do the entire run in and out of your nose. Okay, very important to understand there. Once we get up into zone three, it's very rapid nasal breathing, and you're probably going to need to open up your mouth. Now, at the point when you get up into zone four, you need to open mouth breathe, and people are probably going to hear you breathing. So if you're on a treadmill, someone next to you is going to be like, man, this dude or this girl is working hard. Okay. And when you're in zone five, you're not going to be able to maintain it for a very long period of time. That would probably be that final straightaway. Okay. You might be able to hold this for maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 to 5, maybe 10 minutes. If you're an advanced trainee, the more advanced you are, the more you can hold those higher level zones. Okay. Does that make sense for you guys? The benefit of training in zone two for an extended period of time is that we've got this beautiful heart, and in this heart we have something called a left ventricle, and the left ventricle can get larger as we do more zone two aerobic easy training, nasal breathing training. And what happens is that with each stroke we displace more and more blood the larger that left ventricle gets, and that occurs during zone two training. The other really cool thing about that is we actually get more plumbing. Okay, we get more veins and capillaries to be able to take our blood and to remove or bring our blood back to our hearts. So we get more of those beautiful veins to be able to bring those things back and to take the blood to the muscles to work. Not only that, but that the diameter, how big they are, gets bigger. So those veins get larger in diameter. Okay, so they get very, very efficient with zone two training. Okay, now if you start, that is very good for being able to complete the race and to develop aerobic base. Okay, now if you're racing and if you're doing this for time and you're trying to beat your father-in-law in a particular triathlon, or you're trying to beat your friend, you might want to do some speed work. Okay, if you've done this a couple of times, you're going to want to do some zone 3 and zone 4 work. If you are a beginner, there's great benefit to just completing these times. Okay, triathlon and endurance sports is a blue collar sport, and it takes time. You can't binge fitness, okay, in this sport. It takes years. And so I remember in 2009, 10, 11, my coach was out of the Olympic Training Center, and we would sit down and we would talk in terms of years. We would talk in terms of how fast I ended up doing a swim time trial. It was called the 200-800, 200 meter swim, short rest, and then into an 800. And we'd be able to see what my speed versus my endurance was. And he would say that your 200 needs to be here and your 800 needs to be here. It's here now. This is where it needs to be at the end of the season. So he helped dangle the carrot for me. Okay. So the beautiful thing about time trialing is it is repeatable, but it took time. It took a lot of time to be able to develop these things. Okay. If you are a beginner, a lot of these runs say run for a particular duration. There is nothing wrong with putting a walk in. As a matter of fact, I encourage it, because what happens if you go out on a 40-minute run, your running form is going to continue to deteriorate, and the likelihood of you getting injured is going to go up. And a non-injured athlete is way more valuable and has a lot more fun on race day than an injured athlete. So I would rather you put, and this is something you can message me being like, hey, where do you think I should go? But there's nothing wrong with doing a 2-run, 1-minute walk, or a 2-minute run, 30-second walk, or a 5-minute run, 1-minute walk. Okay. All right. So the program starts off by making sure that you're running for duration. Triathletes I love the way triathletes think. I think runners think in terms of miles, and triathletes, I wish runners picked this tip up, but triathletes really have it down that you got to think in terms of minutes, training volume, time. Okay, so initially in this program, the long runs and the long rides are based off time. As we progress through this program, I'm going to highly recommend that people hit a certain distance. Now, I put distance down as well as time because some people are going to go faster. So for example, I might put down that you either ride either 15 miles or 75 minutes. Make sense? So for those faster individuals, they might get 18, 19, 20, 21 miles. But I put down that time because I think that that's very important. For those individuals that are first and beginners, 15 miles is a good, hey, it took me like an hour and a half, it took me an hour and 40 minutes. But guess what? If you're doing the Olympic distance, you got 25 miles, it might take you 2 hours, 2 hours 15. Okay, you have to complete the distance. That's a good way to kind of look at that. Now, tempo. This is very important. I wanted to say something about this. Now I put in 3010 tempo for these lifts. Okay, 10 reps, 3010 tempo. If it's 10 reps, 10 repetitions. Okay, let's say you're doing a push-up or a dumbbell bench press or a split squat. And it's a 3010 tempo. Let's call it a push-up. 3, 2, 1, 1. That's a 4-second repetition. Times 10 repetitions, that is 40 seconds of time under tension. So if I'm telling Natalie how to make a cake, the more ingredients and directions that she gets at making that cake or salmon or whatever she's making tonight, the better it can be. And so if I say, Tim, do 10 push-ups, he could do them like this and he could be done in 10 seconds. Or if I tell Allison to do 10 push-ups at a slow pace, she might do it like this and she might do it for 50 seconds. So what's most effective is to tell tempos as well. Okay. Now, the first number, there's usually four numbers in the tempo. The first number is the eccentric, or the stretch of the muscle. If we're doing a squat, it's 3 on the way down, 3, 2, 1. The second number is the pause at the bottom. If it's a 0, there is no pause. The third number is what's called the concentric, or the shortening of the muscle. Generally, for a performance-based athlete, it is 1 or an X. As we get closer to the event, the concentrics will have an X. The reason being is we want to be able to teach ourselves to move quickly or to move the load quickly. And even if you cannot move the load, the intent to move the load has to be there. What happens when the intent to move the load is an X or is as fast as possible, we can actually recruit 11% more muscle fibers. Okay, so it is important that even though the load may not move quickly, the intent needs to be there. Now, the last number is at the, you get at the top of the squat. If that's 0, you come right back down. Okay, so those are the 4 numbers in tempo. Very important for making that cake or lifting. Okay, we talked about why time over distance. However, distance will come into play later on. The different strength phases. I'll let the cat out of the bag. We're starting with structural balance. We're moving to what I call post-exhaust. A post-exhaust protocol is, here's an example, a dumbbell row, okay, a single arm dumbbell row with a 4010 tempo into a bent over reverse fly for 12 reps with a 2010 tempo. So they're both row movements, but they are superset. And the second movement is faster. So that is a great introduction to more performance-based. Like what you do is you stimulate a lot of muscle fibers with a heavier lift, that's 6. And then you do something faster afterwards with a similar movement pattern, and that helps build the strength in that same area. Now, the next movement is a front squat with dumbbells. Remember I said we do a lot of dumbbell work up front. If you're at a more advanced training, you can use a barbell. Okay, but in this program, I'm putting down dumbbells, right? So the front squat, dumbbell, 6 reps, 4-0-1-0 tempo into a walking lunge for 20 reps. So can you see how those two are similar? They're both leg movements, and the second movement is more faster. Okay, it's faster. Okay, and then bench press incline into push-ups. The push-ups are fast. Now, if I say push-ups, and here's where it's really important that you're on the call and you're listening to these things, you do you, okay? Maybe Natalie's able to put her foot up on a bench and she's able to put her hands down on the ground. She's able to do these single arm, where Tim, I'm just kidding, Tim might need to put his hands up on a chair, okay? So he shortens the lever and maybe needs to go down to his knees. I'm not there to hold your hand. This is kind of a one-size-fits-all program, but kind of not. We want to be able to help you guys out the best we can, okay? So that's where things can be changed. Now, what's important that you guys understand, if I put dumbbell row and I say 6 reps, you should not be able to do 15 reps with that weight. You should be able to do 6, and you might have 2 more left in the tank. That makes sense? Okay, that is strength training. What is not strength training is if I say 6 reps and you're talking to your girlfriend and you're at 15, oops, I lost track. I could have gone another 30 reps. No, that's not strength training. Okay, that's like conditioning. That's a group class. So we want you moving load. All right, we want you moving load, and that will help you with your triathlon. Okay. Any questions with that? That is the second phase. The third phase. Okay, we're at week 7 now. I'm just talking about the strength. The third phase is what's called a 5x5. This is a pretty traditional strength protocol. This is where we start implementing barbells and bilateral movements. We're 6 weeks out now. Okay, putting in big movements and we're getting strong. And then that last phase is one of my favorites. It's very dynamic, ballistic, but we kind of saw something like that up in weeks 4, 5, 6 with the post exhaust. This last phase is called a contrast protocol. Okay, now this contrast protocol is similar to the post exhaust, but it's more sexy. It's so dynamic and fun. It's a hex bar deadlift for 3 to 4 reps. Okay, so it's a little bit more advanced with weight than that first. And here's where you gotta do you. Okay, the more advanced trainees shift towards that 3. The beginners shift to maybe 4, maybe even 5 or 6. Okay, it's a 4-0-x-0 tempo. And then we immediately, 10 seconds max, go to squat jumps. We go to 12 squat jumps. And what happens is that we can train our tendons to be elastic. Okay. But what we do is that I use the analogy that muscles are like light bulbs, and we're trying to turn on a lot of light bulbs. We do that with the hex bar deadlift, otherwise known as motor units, muscle fibers. Okay. Once we turn on all those motor units, then we will be able to jump more effectively or higher. Now, if you were to just do 12 squat jumps, then I'm just throwing out a number, maybe you'll be able to get 17-inch vertical. But since you did that hex bar deadlift, you're getting 18 to 19. Not getting that much more, but you're getting a little bit more. Very effective, okay? And I've actually heard of like Major League Baseball players going and doing very heavy deadlifts prior to games, okay? Gets their nervous system fired up, okay? Cool. So that's another, just to kind of let the cat out of the bag, barbell bench press into a push press, 2-0-x-0. It's ballistic, okay? A seated row into a med ball slam. Oh, so fun. And so I basically take a leg, a press, a pull, and then we have what I call some structural balance or some core exercises on the back end, okay? So these are super advanced training protocols that can be tailored to an advanced athlete or someone that is a beginner. The exercise selection is what will dictate that. The repetitions and the load are what dictate that. So I could do this protocol, and I have done this protocol with 60, 70, 80-year-old people. The load and the exercise just change, okay? Maybe it's not a squat jump. Maybe it's a speed squat. Maybe it's not a med ball slam. Maybe it's a seated row quickly. Okay, so that's where we use that chat function and message me, and I'll do the best I can. I got a lot a lot of things going on, but I will do the best I can to check that chat function. And that's, everybody can see everybody else's comment on that, correct? On that little chat function? No? Natalie, have you seen that, the chat function? No? Okay.
No, I don't, there's nothing in my chat box.
Okay. We'll maybe see if Tim, did you see any of those?
I'm not
Those
seeing
chats?
anything come through. I see the chat function, but not any chat.
Okay.
I think
I'll look
the function is turned so that only maybe the moderator or something can see it. I don't know.
Oh, so you guys can only see my stuff?
I can't see.
I don't see
Oh, you can't see
I
mine? Oh,
I
okay.
don't see anything in the chat.
Okay. I'll look into that tomorrow.
Mike, are you talking about the chat function on the training app or within this call, the training app?
On the training app, yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
am able to see that. Sorry, I thought you were talking
Oh.
about.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yes,
good,
I can
good.
see that on the
Yeah, yeah.
application,
Oh, okay.
no here, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I'm seeing those.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, excellent. No, and that's the best way to communicate with me, and because I think that other people, we've got other. It's interesting looking at the feedback and the people that are doing this program. The majority of these people have done a couple of triathlons. Okay, so we should have some people that have some experience. Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit about the zones. The other beautiful thing about the zones is that if this is zone 3 and down, zone 2 and 1, we are primarily utilizing fat as a fuel source. Okay, we have a lot of fat stores. We could do this for a very long period of time. Once we start getting up into zone 3, that fat store, that we start to use carbohydrates or glycogen. Once we start getting up into zone 4 or even zone 5, we have a limited amount of energy. Okay, so that's why there's a lot of training done here, and we can get into this zone. But if you think of a pie chart, that zone 4 and zone 5 are a sliver of that pie chart. Okay, there is a time and a place for that, and that's what truly makes us really fast. But what makes us resilient and lets us go the distance is that zone 2 training. Okay, so that's why I keep saying that those beginners, a lot of benefits of just completing the distance in this first one. Okay, and just kind of peppering in a little bit of speed.
Mike, sorry, I do
yeah.
have a question about the zone 2. I have been trying to do the zone 2, but it's so hard if I try to at least jogging. I mean, it's like I need to be walking.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my watch or something, but even yesterday that I was like walking, but was a lot of hills, my zone was 3, was aerobic. And I was walking, but was this incline. And I was, oh my God, I can be in the zone 2. I mean, it was so hard.
Do you
So,
remember,
I
have
don't
you
know
ever
why.
been at altitude? Have you ever been at altitude?
Well, not that much. It's just Kansas, and here is crazy.
Oxygen is
But-
limited at altitude, my dear. So your heart rate will be elevated. It will be harder.
Okay.
Your pace will be less. Okay. And
Exactly.
a lot of the pros that train at Flagstaff will do a lot of their aerobic training at like 7,000 feet. And then they'll come down to sea level and they'll do their speed. That's the best way to train. So that's why you see like these elite teams out there. It's a little more difficult at Boulder because you're kind of sitting at about 6,000, but you can't really go down to like 2,000 feet. Okay, so but your heart rate is elevated there because of the altitude. Now, I'm glad you asked that question because when you do that FTP test and when you do that 20-minute time trial, let's say that your average heart rate is 170. Okay. Well, let's say that your heart rate is 170 on the average was 170 on the run. If we take 20 beats below that, that is generally a good upper zone 2, maximal zone 2 number. So 150
So like
would be your max zone.
150, something like that.
Yep.
Because I was trying to do some to after the last race in treadmill, because I was okay. The treadmill, I just put flat, and I was like on the speed like 3 something, 3.5, and I is still going to the zone 3, and I was, oh my God, this is really hard for me. I mean, I don't know how to do it, to be jogging and just stay on the zone 2. So that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
because it's
and
so hard.
that was in Breckenridge there.
Yes, I didn't own the treadmills, and that day I just tried
Yeah.
the treadmill, and the speed was
Yep.
like 3.5, sorry, 3.5, and I was
Yep.
still going on some tree, and I was okay. I
Yep.
don't know how to
Yep.
do it, just walking or.
Yeah. So I think what else is really important to understand that if we said that your average heart rate, or sorry, your max aerobic heart rate is 150, and what that does not mean is that you don't get on the treadmill or you don't go on a run and get it right to 150. You might run easy and get your heart rate to 140. And then what happens is it naturally drifts up into the 150 due to heat, due to fatigue, due to dehydration. So they call that cardiac drift. Okay. And it drifts more in the heat. It drifts more the more unfit you are. So that is important that you don't get it right to 150. Okay, that's important to understand.
Thank you.
All right, so that's why there's a little bit of wiggle room in that zone. Now, if we have access to metabolic testing, and it is coming at Lifetime, that is the gold standard. Do that. I did that in college. I am a big fan of it. And as much as I like to say, wow, Garmin's got this thing that kicks out what your zones are, it's not. I actually did some consulting work for Garmin now that I'm in Kansas City. And it's just not as accurate as we wish it was. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions? That is about all I have written down for, and we plan on doing these once a month so we can kind of debrief and get any more questions and how people are feeling. As we get closer, we're going to talk about like race strategies and the course and how you should do some visualization and stuff like that. Okay.
Can we ask questions about the course now? You've done this course?
Yep. Yeah. I lived in Chicago. I think I mentioned for about 15 years. I think I've done Chicago Triathlon at least twice, maybe 3 times.
Do you know what the elevation gain is on the bike on the Olympic distance?
That's a good question. Not much, but it's deceptively challenging in the sense that there are a bunch of overpasses. And so it's not flat. And everybody says Chicago's flat, but it kind of gets you. So don't just ride the lakefront, because when you ride the lakefront, you're like, oh, easy peasy. It's super, super flat. Yes, the lakefront, when you're going up North Avenue and Foster, if you're in Dallas, do you say, Natalie?
Yeah, I'm in Dallas.
But it has these overpasses, and the overpasses occur about every mile or so. And so they kind of ebb and flow, which I personally like because it breaks it up a little bit. Okay. Right. But what on the bike you can get into is when you're riding north, you can get a little bit of a northwest wind where you're kind of pushing into, and you might push some more watts. But when you're coming back, you're flying. But if you're doing Olympic distance, you'll do it twice. Coming out of transition, you have a little bit of a hill, and you got to get yourself in the right gear. Very important. We'll talk about that. You got to get yourself in the right gear coming out of transition, because I've seen people fall trying to get up that parking or the on ramp there. Okay. I've been pretty lucky with not too much wind, but there's always some wind in Chicago. If you don't know where the wind's at, it's at your back. That's what they say.
I've run the race a few times, and I think it's always been windy, always, and normally really hot. There's been a couple times where the temperature has been okay, but it's normally really hot in August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the hottest spot on the course is when you get south of McCormick Place. Boy, there's just
on the run.
As breezy it can get every place else. The air just kind of gets a little bit stale down there, and you got to be mentally ready for that. And that's where, having a little bit of experience, and like someone like Tim who's done the course, we can kind of talk war stories about the course. Not to here's the deal. It's not to scare anybody on here, but it's just to give you I heard about this on one of these talks, and so you're mentally ready for it when you go into it. So me talking about how to get on the on ramp, getting in the right gears, or anybody else talking about it. They get you in the water a little bit early, and so you're kind of doing a little bit of a doggy paddle out there before they blow the horn. It's not a jump in the water and go. It's a jump in the water and kind of wait around for a minute or two. Okay, so all these little things are just good visualization to think about. Okay.
What about the the average water temp? Do we know?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't recall if I've ever had it so hot that I haven't been able to wear a wetsuit, but it is possible.
Lake Michigan is generally, at least from when I've been out there, it's been pretty chilly. There's been times where it's been really cold, depends how the wind is
Yeah.
blowing, but because the lake is so deep, typically I've not seen it higher than the low 70s.
Yeah. Yep. One thing I want to talk about, I want to plug something really quick. If you guys are all lifetime members and have access to any of this UCAN gear, holy cow. This stuff is amazing. I use the energy on any of my intense efforts. I'll bring the edge with me if I need something. So I'll have the energy before I go out. Or if I'm on the bike, I'll put a bottle of this and then a bottle of water or just straight electrolytes. Okay, because I sweat a lot and I get depleted. I'll have this on all of my workouts. This is called Hydrate. I'll take this sometimes on my long runs if I just think I might not be able to make it. If I might, my paces might fall off. I mean, they have a bar, they have a granola that I used before my training runs. But I first, once again, came to hear about this stuff back in 2009 when I was out in Colorado Springs. Bob Sebahar is the nutritionist out there at the Olympic Training Center. And how the story is that this kid had to get shots, like insulin shots in the middle of the night. And they made this product and he was able to take this product and be able to sleep the entire night. And they're like, we are onto something for endurance athletes. So it's not a big spike in energy, it's a sustained energy. And so you'll get done with workouts, you'll be like, wow, I actually maintained my energy. I was able to complete the workout without a lull in energy. And so it's not just for endurance athletes. The electrolytes help with focus too. So if you're in a meeting and your brain can start drifting away, it helps with motivation and focus, helps with like Olympic lifters. So if you guys want to purchase that stuff, you can use my code and you will get a discount on it. The code E262538. I'll say that again. E262538. Okay, and then if you do auto ship, you get 50%.
You said E262538.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
And that's with any of the supplements at Lifetime, you get a discount. So any of the supplements,
You have to order it on Lifetime's website to get that
Yep.
discount. Okay.
Yep.
I have used, just as another plug, I have used UCAN for full Ironmans. That's all
Wow.
that's my whole nutrition for an Ironman.
There we go.
Ironman, did you say?
I'm a big proponent of it as well. Because I can't eat food. I just can't eat food. So
Yeah.
liquid is all I can really do.
Have you tried the bar, Natalie?
Yeah. I'm talking about the taste. I don't know about
Yeah.
how much they feel you. I am interested in the kind of the little gel packet. I have not tried those. Do those
Yep.
taste like, is that the same consistency as like a goo or more like applesauce?
More viscosity. So you do not need to take it with water. That's the
Okay.
benefit. So the pack is a smidge bigger, but there's a lot more liquid in it and it just goes down really easily.
I haven't tried that yet. I think about that.
Mike, that one, I'm sorry, that one, the gel has caffeine or is just carbo?
No caffeine.
No caffeine?
Nope,
Okay.
Nope.
I've got a question for you. How many people do you have in the program? How many are part of the group?
Man, that's a good question. I think Allison might be better to answer that, but I would guess from the people that I've been logging onto the program, I'd guess a good 100 people.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I would say. Like 80 plus at least. I haven't gone through, but 80 to 100 so far.
It's a good
Yeah,
group.
we're
Is it
super-
true? I
super
read
excited.
somewhere that one year, I don't know what year it was, there was like 8,500 people, athletes at this race. Is it always that big?
I would- it
We're
wouldn't surprise
expecting, I
me.
would say, like 7,500 this year.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, I guess that's
It's
over
a
the course
it's a major
of the 2
event.
days. Yeah.
You do a great job. I love this race because it's just so well organized. And it's, great scenery and, it's just a great track. Everything's up on the lake, down Lakeshore Drive on the bike, and the run through McCormick Place and Soldier Field is really cool. Cool.
Yep.
event.
Yep, it's pretty epic. Allison, do you want to? Allison is kind of emceeing this group. I'm just dropping some X's and O's on training, but maybe you want to fill in a little bit about what these people get with the jersey. There's a little kit that's going to be handed out, like a little bike jersey with some tri stuff on it. You want to talk about that now, Allison, or?
Yeah, sure. So in addition to the bike jersey, which those will be available like race weekend, we'll have like an express packet pickup for all the members in this program at the expo at the Hilton. So you can pick up the bike jerseys there. In addition, on race day, we'll have like a special Lifetime Tri Club area with a private porta potty, just a private space to gather. We'll be adding in some surprises, I'm sure, leading up to race day, but it's always nice, just like a place to congregate and cheer each other on, after the race. Potentially before too. We're still putting some things together, but we'll communicate everything out via email. I would encourage everyone to, if you're on Facebook, join the private Facebook group. That's also a good place just to kind of ask questions. If you're looking for other people in your area, maybe to train with, it's a good place to just to connect with other Lifetime members involved in the program.
Something else that you guys should know, I do quite a bit on social media with my training and the training, tri training. I talk about the program a little bit. On Instagram, my handle is Fast and Fit Mike. Fast and Fit Mike. I try to mainly do educational things, but I try to sometimes be funny. I don't know if it's funny all the time, but try.
Mike, I've got a question for you on the training. I've got a couple other tries that I'm running. I think of Chicago as kind of the, that's the end road that's the big race at the end, but I've got other races that I do. Do I talk to you about how to best coordinate or fit that into the schedule, or is that something just to touch base with you, or just do it and not worry about it, or?
You could message me.
Okay.
I'll help you out. Yep.
All right, perfect, thanks.
Yep. Allison, I think that's all we have. I think we're going to sign off. Unless anybody has anything else, guys. Thanks for coming on. What I like to say to all my athletes that I coach is that the athletes that communicate to me get access to me, and I've never said no to anybody. I could talk about this stuff all day long, but I need to sleep and I need to see my kids, and I really do love training and the people, and so this is super duper fun. So message me and stay active, because you will get more out of your training the more you communicate and have dialogue. Okay. So, and it also kind of brings everybody together, and health and fitness is more than just moving. It's also social. So be social as well. Don't be a hermit on this program, because a lot of endurance athletes are can do this by a lot of this by themselves. So and Lord knows that everybody needs somebody these days, right? That mental health, we need to get out there and do it together. So, all right. Cool. I think we're going to sign off. Allison.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Happy training, everyone.
Mhm.
Bye.